Hi everybody, welcome back. You are watching Kahaaniyaan, a Sarzameen campaign, and welcome to our penultimate episode. As the title suggests, Wedding Crashers. We might be crashing a wedding soon. Hopefully by at least by the end of this episode. We'll see how it goes. Uh, Before we get into a recap, let's quickly go around the table and introduce ourselves and where we can find all of these lovely beings that we see in the interwebs. Let's just start off with Bashir. Let's start with you, and we'll go clockwise.
Hello, I'm Bashir Gauss. I am a freelance writer, cultural consultant, and game designer in the tabletop RPG community. You can find me at twitter.com/Bashir Gauss. You can find my work at havocfet.itch.io or under the name Bashir Gauss on DM's Guild and Drive-Thru RPG, as well as published for a variety of your favorite tabletop RPG companies, including Paizo, Kobold Press, and Rowan Rook and Deckard.
Awesome. Morgan.
I had to find the mute button. Hello, I'm Morgan. My pronouns are they, them, and she, her interchangeably. You can find me on all the socials at Serena Bezos. I do Kahaaniyaan. I do currently Warrens of Petal Grove on Sundays, as well as we got one more game, Apocalypse Keys, on this upcoming Sunday? Next Sunday? I don't remember. But I play games. Follow me on Twitter. Yeah. Be my friend.
Anino.
How's it going, everyone? My name's Nino. I use he, him pronouns, and for this game, I play Gojin, who's also known as Nabir, but no one knows that yet. You can find me on Twitter at Anino Gaming. My full stream schedule is up there.
And last but not least, Connie.
Hey everybody, my name's Connie. I play Johnsley on Kahaaniyaan. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me on Twitter at byConnieChong. When I'm not here on Huetopia, I am the GM and executive producer behind Trans Planar RPG, which is an all-transgender, person of color-led, 100% homebrew, non-colonial, anti-orientalist tabletop actual play live stream campaign that streams every Saturday at 3 p.m. Central on Twitch at Trans Planar RPG. So you should check us out if that's interesting to you. I am also a GM for the curated play program through Magpie Games, where I run masks. So if that's interesting to you as well, and you want to play some teen superheroes, hit me up through Magpie Games' curated play program. And with that, I'm going to pass things along back to Mariam.
Also, real quick, I play Tulsi. I forgot to say that. Hi.
So I'm Mariam. I will be your guide for this game. And you can find me on Twitter at media_junkie. I too am a Magpie curated play program GM, newly minted. I will be running Bluebeard's Bride this Friday, actually. So I believe there's still one ticket left. If you're interested, definitely go sign up for that for some really spoopy feminine horror game. I'm actually running a couple of more Bluebeard's Bride if Friday is not available to you, but you really want to play. You can check my Twitter for all of that. There's a couple of other things I do, but I will shout them out towards the end of the show because I would really like to right now get into our recap because we left things on a bit of a cliffhanger last time. If you are new to our show, I usually ask the players to do the recap because, hey, one less thing for me to do, and it's always fun to hear things from the player's perspective. So take it away. Who wants to tell me what happened last episode? Don't all go at once.
I mean, one of my favorite quotes is "This bitch is haunted" by Connie. That's and so Johnsley started feeling better because the time before she was not, aka Connie was not here, so we had to catch her up. She wants to exercise raw, and then him and Johnsley got into a drinking contest, which didn't need to happen because a wedding crashing would release the spirits. So, oh yeah, by the way, there's spirits. We have like $15,000 on us that are all haunted by spirits. It's fine. It's okay.
Yes. Rahim is possessed also. I'm pretty sure that happened. And then we went on a caravan ride, right, to get to the wedding that we are going to crash. In order to actually, can someone remind me why this wedding needs to be crashed again?
It's
Just
the powerful family's wedding.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. Yes. So one side of the, I think the groom side of the family that's getting wedded, is wedding in for power, because they lost the thing that gave before, which is this horrific ring, basically that can create anything you want, sort of like a Thanos snap into reality. But at the risk of, if you roll an @20, you die, you turn into dust. And Rahim currently has that ring magically sealed onto one of his lizard claws, because Rahim is our resident big chunky lizard boy. So we hitched a ride with a caravan that was also going coincidentally to the same wedding, which was a little suspicious to John Sully and Rahim, especially because they were supposed to be perfume vendors. But something rubbed us a little bit the wrong way. So Rahim and John Sully did a little bit of snooping and discovered a special case, a cask filled with vials of what appeared to be poison, milked from scorpions. So John Sully and Rahim huddled back together with Tulsi and Gojin and told the rest of the party what we discovered. And while we were like arguing and trying to figure out what was going on, John Sully, before this, spoke to one of the caravan ladies, basically trying to see if they were actually like assassins or like poison peddlers using like perfumery as a front like business. And it turns out John Sully's suspicion was correct. And not only did she find this out, but this woman thought that John Sully was trying to order a hit from her on Rahim. So try to do some damage control. Turns out these assassins were hired to kill us. That was the big twist at the end. So now we're engaged in combat. John Sully has resurrected the corpse of a hyena, revealing her necromantic powers for the first time. Tulsi blasted lightning Thor hammer time situation where you just completely wrecked some suckers. That came out of nowhere and was extremely startling to John Sully. And yeah, I think we're in the middle of combat. Am I missing anything?
Look, you gotta protect your people. Like, that's what's happening.
Yes.
Yeah, you covered most of it, although I will go into the kind of current head count, body count before we begin, just so that A, we all know what's going on, but also B, so that the audience knows. So in terms of a very quick blow by bleh, I have the inability of saying blow by blow. There, I finally said it. Currently, so in the caravan, there were essentially the merchant and the 4 assistants. All of them were women, which will be somewhat relevant, hopefully, by the end of this fight, depending on how it goes. And there were 3 that were kind of huddled in one place, and then the merchant and 1 more minion were before you got discovered, was wondering what the fuck was happening. And in the process of the fight, you killed 2 of them. 1 got fried by lightning, 1 got killed by Eager Edge, and 1 got knocked out by Rahim. So in terms of active people going for you, is the merchant as well as the last minion. And also in terms of within your party currently, Gojin is having a bit of a nap, spooning Eager Edge as they got stabbed before the last one got knocked out, and the blade was of course poisoned, and they're taking a bit of a nap at the moment. At least that's what it appears to you. And now we go essentially into combat once more. Continuing with what happened, and the way combat works in Quest is the party has their turn collectively, as in they each take a turn. They can take it in any order they want each round, and then the NPCs and the enemies take a turn. So currently, Gojin's taking a bit of a nap. What are the three of you doing?
John Sully is overwhelmed. This is only, I think, her second fight of the campaign so far with the party, and before this, she has never really fought in her life. She's a doctor. What do you mean fighting? So she's gonna see Gojin taking a nap, quote unquote nap, with the sword. Realize that their biggest asset and fighter, or so it appears, is down, and she is going to turn to Tulsi and Rahim and go, I think we should get out of here. We should just run. There's absolutely no dishonor in getting away with our lives, and we can deal with it later. What do y'all think, fellas?
I can't carry Gojin.
He is quite robustly muscular. I will give him that. Rahim, what do you think we should do?
You're muted at the moment.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Judsley, grab Gojin, try to wake him up or treat whatever happened to him. Tulsi, can you do the lightning thing again?
Yes.
Okay.
Pick one.
I think they go. Yeah.
Okay. Pick one. I'll handle the other.
Okay. I'm just gonna. I'll do what I can do. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not used to the fisticuffs. And Johnsley is going to hurry over to Gojin's side and give a preliminary examination first. Is it evident what's causing this?
So their pulse is quite steady.
Okay, that's good.
They're not dead or anything. They're definitely bleeding. But
Okay.
that's but you get the sense that essentially their pulse is such that when they're sleeping, like as if they've fallen into a slumber of some kind. And you know that certain poisons can mimic that. Essentially just knock them out.
Sure. How much damage has Gojin taken?
As far as you can tell, not very much, just the stab.
Okay, cool. In that case, I don't know if any of my moves, my abilities can wake someone up. I have perception, modulate. I alter the nature. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that if you don't have an ability, essentially that can awaken people or remove statuses, you can spend your turn trying to essentially shake him awake.
Okay. It's unfortunate because I'm the freaking doctor. I should be able to do that. If only I had my level up feature now, because I get to relieve him of any short-term impairments, which is what I feel this is. But maybe so after the combat, I'll do that. But in the meantime, Johnsley is just going to sort of cast mend. The flavor, the wording says you gently touch a creature, immediately restoring 5 hit points and healing minor wounds like cuts and bruises. But the gently touch, I'm gonna take a little bit of creative liberty and just say I touch Gojin's shoulders and then I start just shaking him. Gojin, slap, wake up, slap.
The soap opera slap.
Yeah, like the slow motion, like Asian soap opera, like the and she's gonna go, Gojin, please, you have to wake up, we need you. But with each slap is gonna mend the bruises and the cuts and the stabs a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, I believe that was like a 2 hit point loss that you had taken previous, so that definitely heals that. But I'm gonna say the process of waking up is what your turn is gonna be, Gojin. Which, if you want to describe how you wake up, we can certainly do.
So his eyes just flutter open as his head keeps swinging back and forth from each of the slaps. And then he's just going to wait for her to pause, at which point he will just say, "Are you finished?"
Johnson goes, was it like sort of in the middle of like slapping your cheek again? Goes, oh, Gojin, I've never been happier to see someone wake up. How are you doing? Are you okay?
How am I doing?
You are.
Is this like a Is this like a Benadryl wake up where
Yeah,
I'm foggy for a while?
it's very much this kind of like drugged fogginess that is beginning to clear.
Okay. I think I'm okay. I feel a little shaky. How dare they fight with poison?
I know it's so dirty. I feel like after traveling all this, I'm starting to learn a little bit more about medical practices that are outside of my comfort zone. Maybe after all this is over, I can try to figure out a way to purge the last of the poison out of your body. This is my fiction forward, narrative focused way of trying to justify my level up advancement. I'm taking heal. Is that all the time I have? Presumably
Yeah.
in my turn.
Yeah. Okay, so Rahim, Dulcie, who wants to go next?
You can go first,
Um,
Rahim.
Sure. So Rahim kind of walks forward, and I draw the Death Hand, which I charged in episode like 3. And I don't level it at the merchant or like the leader of the assassins yet, but I do call out and say, "You're going to want to surrender. The next bit doesn't go well for you."
Are you waiting for their response and not taking any action, or are you kind of
I'm waiting to see if like they're going to, and if they refuse to surrender, I'll take the shot. But I don't know if that means like my turn is I roll to see if they are sufficiently cowed by the fact that 3 of them are already down, or if that just means I give up my turn.
I
Either
think
way is
if you're
fine.
waiting for them to react, you're certainly just waiting for like
All right.
that's your turn.
Mhm.
And Dulcie, what are you up to?
I see Rahim waiting, and they're like, should I? Should I not? Should I do it? And are we within eyesight of the
Yeah.
2 of them? Okay.
Yeah. They're not nearby, as in, you do kind of have to spend a turn walking up to them. And that, I
Mhm.
assume, so Rahim, when you do want to use your Death Claw on your next turn, you are within,
The Death Hand is line of sight. I don't need to be close to them.
okay, then yeah, then
I
it doesn't
could-
really
yeah.
matter. But you did move forward, so you would be closer to them.
Yeah, I'm
All
going
right.
to I think because Rahim's waiting, and Tulsi's like, I guess they're gonna wait. Like, they're gonna stay where they are because they could easily do this from line of sight as well. So they're just gonna wait and see. Like,
Okay, yeah. So with that being said, undead hyena is kind of harassing. Oh yes, there is an undead hyena as well. Yeah. So there is a shout out, which I believe is. You know, when I set that up, I wasn't quite sure what that does, but I think it's just if you want me to shout out something, please type it in chat and I will shout it out during the show.
Mm-hmm.
it looks like Ken is like,
is
I
that
have
the
more
shout
of
out?
these.
The shout out is if you want to shout out, type it out in the chat.
Yes, I guess so.
Okay.
I maybe should reevaluate some of the points redeemed that are there. But yes, Davidson925 or Ken, thank you. So
Hey,
first of all,
Ken!
shout out to you because you are an amazing person and being and everything, and thank you so much. You've been a very vocal person about the show, and yeah, thank you so much for supporting us and watching and tuning in. You know, yes, very much great love. And the message is shout out yourself because you're rad. Hey, we're all rad.
Hey!
Hey. Okay, so back to what the merchant and the last minion are doing. So the last minion and the merchant hear what you're doing and do not seem they seem somewhat confident in their abilities because their what they perceived as a threat, the fighter has been taken out. So they are going to attack. I believe the undead hyena was harassing, I think, the merchant. The merchant is just going to spend their turn shoving the hyena aside, and you hear a whimper and kind of a as they go flying. And they're going to, the merchant is going to advance towards you, Rahim, because you were closer. But they don't do anything else aside from that. They seem nonplussed about the whole affair. And the assistant is actually going to make their way to you and try to attack you. And I should have taken. I have a really nice box, but it's really hard to get the dice out of it. I should have done that ahead of time. Okay. We're gonna assume. There, I'm just gonna unload it. Okay, so that's a 12, which means they do get to attack you. I would like you to roll me a d20, please.
16.
All right. You get to save from the poison that is there. Although, you will, to essentially recover from it for a turn, you are feeling not that great. And instead of having a nappy nap, you just are kind of foggy at the moment.
All right.
Which means the way I'm going to do it is if you have to roll something, the band of success is going to be higher, of like complete success versus partial success.
Right.
And this is totally not a quest rule. It is something I'm making up on the spot to deal with the poison. I think that is all that there is in the turn. Now it is back to all of you. Gojin, you are no longer kind of foggy, sleepy. You are able to act as normal.
Okay.
Collectively as a party, what do you do?
Can I go first?
Sure.
I think reactively, like, Tulsi's gonna go like, and as that person gets closer to us, and just have the lightning come from the sky again.
All right, who are you aiming it at? At the minion or the merchant?
Oh, I can go for the merchant.
Well, they're both in islands, so I just
evens the merchant, odds the whatchamacallit.
Well, if you don't mind me taking the first turn, I do have a thing that I don't need to roll for that will probably instant kill someone.
Okay.
I'm going to use the Death Hand now that they're attacking me and definitely not surrendering. So Rahim just kind of levels this magical gun, fires at the merchant, and that is either 10 damage or instant kill, depending on whether or not they're a boss.
They are not a boss, and considering, yeah, that's without going into gory detail, how do you do this? How do you end this life?
He's kind of woozy, he can't see straight, but he levels this so when we talked about firearms at the start, it was like they're kind of sort of magical equivalents, but there aren't actually guns. So it's like, I figure it kind of looks like one of those decorative vajras that you have in a lot of Indian art, like these kind of ribbed structures moving forward around a handle that looks kind of like a gun. He levels that. There's a buildup of energy inside of it, and this thin blue beam launches out through the merchant, and they're just gone.
Oh, you aim it at the merchant, not the person in front of you?
Yeah, aiming it at the merchant, as they seemed in charge here.
Sorry, I assumed you were going after the minion. So the merchant is indeed a boss.
All right, so 10 damage to them.
That they are definitely like incredibly wounded, slight concern on their face, but they're not down.
All right. So there's like a hole in their chest or something.
Yeah,
Um,
it's going to take a while to recover from that.
Okay, that's my turn.
Uh,
Tulsi
yeah.
or whoever.
So
I'm
just to
still
give you an
debating.
idea of who's still around, the minion that's in front of Rahim that essentially stabbed Rahim. Oh yeah, I forgot. You should be taking 2 damage from that.
Yep.
From that stab. So completely unharmed. And the merchant got a gigantic hole through their torso and still up, but kind of reeling.
All right. I think Tulsi's gonna was pointing ready to go for the merchant, and then sees that they were shot. Turns and looks at the minion, and just is holds out their palm, and all of a sudden there's a thorn that shoots out of it.
Okay.
And I gotta roll, because what I rolled will depend on how if I get a crit, it does a thing. I did not get a crit.
All right.
But
does
I
this thorn
conjure a
do?
poisonous thorn that you shoot in the straight line toward a nearby target or creature, and the thorn hits for 2 HP.
Okay. Yeah, they're also reeling from it, but still up. And Gojin and Jensley, what are you doing?
Tulsi, how much did you hit it for again? What did you say? 3 HP? 2 HP? Okay. Is my hyena like?
Your
is it
hyena
around?
currently got bunted to the side.
Is it like dead again, or is it still alive?
No, it's it was to kind of get the hyena off. It wasn't might have taken 1 damage.
Okay.
But
Okay, good.
not.
It has 3 HP.
Yeah,
So...
so not doing too great.
Oh, okay, poor thing.
Like maybe lost sight of a part of its one side of its face.
Oh, poor thing. Johnson Lee can telepathically control it as long as
Yes.
it's in my scene, which it is. So she is going to like beckon the hyena closer to like attack the minion from behind.
Yeah, can do that.
Yep, it
and I
attacks
think
for 1.
oh, it attacks for 1. Okay, so suddenly it grabs like the the ham, the meaty part of the leg,
Uh-huh.
and the minion cries out in pain, still up, but now has a hyena attached to her leg.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. And then Johnson Lee, with her actual turn, is gonna whirl over to Gojin and say, which one are you gonna take care of? The one with a hole in the middle of her chest, or the one that my hyena is latching onto? I'll try to take care of the other one.
Okay. He just looks kind of weird because he's unsettled by how hyper the Johnsely is right now.
Yeah, she's like adrenaline. Like this is like she's like, let's go, let's do it. If we're fighting, let's go.
Okay, well, she picks up Eager Edge and gives it a flick to get all the blood to shake off the blade, and then he sheaths it. But then he starts walking. I wouldn't say power walking, but he just starts walking confidently at the merchant. And as he's doing it, he's just going to draw hard knocks out.
Oh god.
And he's just going to give it a couple of whirls and then golf swing at the merchant.
All right, roll to hit.
It's an 18.
All right, as you connect, you can continue the description. It goes, knock, knock!
So it was a golf swing, so it's coming up, and he's going to aim it right for under her chin. And it's just going to, I don't know, just send her straight up into the air with some distance.
And it does how much damage?
That's a good question. How much do melee I think all melee weapons do the
I think I
same
had
amount
sent
of
All
you
damage.
weapons
a
are 2 damage unless
modified.
they have.
I'm gonna look up because I think I had sent you a modified. Now that it is possessed by a spirit, it's like a magical weapon. So I think it has a little more oomph to it as well. Yeah, I think it does 3 damage now.
Okay, so it's 3 damage.
Yeah, so still up surprisingly, or rather still able to do something, but kind of like really reeling from a getting shot and then essentially golf swung at. And Junsely, I believe you still have, if you want to do something, you can before they go ahead and take their turn.
So I don't know, should I attack the minion or should I try to finish off this boss? So she's still up?
Yep. Barely, but still.
Barely. Okay. Does it look like a good stabbing could take her out, or does it feel like more than just like a quick stab?
You're not quite sure, but you could certainly try.
You know what? Let's try that. Okay. So Johnsely is like adrenaline pumping. She's never enacted violence like this before. She is going to pull out I think she has a dagger. Let me check. I have a knife, a common weapon, 2 damage. Yeah. She pulls out like a knife that's sort of hidden in like the cloak of her doctor coat. And she's gonna it's like shaking in her hand. She goes, look, I don't want to do this. It's not too late. We have you outnumbered. Just put down your arms and maybe we can walk away from this unharmed.
And she just gives you this like really smug, wry smile, like, oh, you poor child, sort of a smile.
I don't want to do this. You're gonna kill us. If it's us or you, isn't it?
And she says, well, if you're gonna kill me, do it. And kind of has this I dare you to.
And Johnsely is gonna try to stab her in the heart. So I roll for that, right?
Yeah, you roll. So in Quest, for anyone, for the audience's benefit as well as the players, you roll to see if you hit, but the damage is already predetermined. Unless you have an ability that changes that.
I do not.
Magical weapons or such, which a lot of the fighter abilities do.
This is a straight D20 roll.
Yeah.
12?
So you succeed, and you do the basic weapon damage, which is 2 damage.
Does that take her out?
Yes, that does.
Yes, okay. I was so worried.
So,
okay.
Again, without going into gory detail, how do you take her out?
Johnsely is a doctor with precise knowledge of the body, and knows that just trying to directly stab the heart is hard and requires a lot of strength because it's protected. So she, with her surgical knowledge, slips the knife.
There's also a gigantic, like, magical hole
yeah,
there.
In the middle of her body, yeah. Slips it through the hole, I guess, to help her, and slides it between the ribs that she knows are there. And just it's almost merciful. It's just so quick, in and out. And that's all. There's like hardly even that much blood. Even it just sort of it gushes out a little bit without getting into gory details. She ends the life very quickly. She just gets up and just in and out, and that's it.
Okay. With that, the last minion, seeing how the fight is going, especially with her boss down, is going to shake the hyena off her leg and limp towards a horse trying to get away. She manages to essentially get onto a horse that is currently not too happy to be bled on. Or there's an undead hyena. And she is currently trying to escape. And that is what she does. What do the rest of you do now? Do you let her get away, or do you try to stop her?
I'm going to take this opportunity to charge the death hand again, but I'm not going to stop her from escaping.
I go first. I'll go.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
go. I was trying to say that and I realized I was muted.
Oh,
I was like, no, I go first. Tulsi sees that and they're like, no, and they turn into a they get on off. They start turning into like a tiger,
Okay.
and they start chasing after the horse.
Okay. Considering the limping and horses and everything, you can, I guess, make some sort of an attack or action.
I'm going to try to jump and like tackle her off the horse.
All right, roll me a d20, please.
Okay. Wow.
What'd you get?
Thanks, Dice. I'm not going to use you ever again. Pinguino. I got a 1.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said wow.
So, you fail.
Did it just like
I feel you're gonna end up attacking the hyena instead, so you get a mouthful of undead hyena.
Ugh.
That makes you retch.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think Tulsi's
and that is
dragging
also
me.
the end of the hyena, I'm gonna say.
That's fine. That's
You try
okay.
to, but somehow you miss and you grab onto the neck, like you get the jugular of the hyena. So the hyena is good and dead now.
Again.
But you also got mouthful of hyena. Yeah, so the three of you have one, like essentially each of you have an attempt to try to stop this if you wish, or let her get away.
It's less so letting her get away and more so Johnsley is completely paralyzed by the fact that she just killed someone. So everything is like the world she's tunnel visioning right now. She's like tunneling and just staring at the dead body of this woman that she just dealt the killing blow to. Like her hands covered in blood. She's shell-shocked. I don't even think she notices that the minion is running away.
Okay.
So that's gonna be her action, is to do nothing.
Okay. Do either Gojin or Rahim want to do something?
no, Rahim's not going to like kill someone who's running away. He charges the death hand and it kind of glows blue as he does, but he's not going to attack unless she like circles back around and comes for us.
And Gojin, you doing anything?
No.
All right. So we are at the end of combat, and she successfully has a running start and gets away for the time being. As the scene ends, you can choose to not rest and essentially chase after, or just let it be and recoup.
So if we let her go, they'll know we're coming. On the other hand, they'll probably know we're coming anyways. Like,
just sort of being in character. Unless someone really rallies everyone, Johnsley is not gonna go after her. She's just gonna sort of sit down in the middle of all this death and blood and stare at the corpses.
I think since nobody's going, Tulsi's just gonna like sort of sit there. Actually, sort of just like start licking in the dirt, trying to get the taste of undead flesh out of their mouth, and just like is too occupied with
still in tiger form, or do you
still in
switch
tiger
back?
form?
Okay.
No.
So you look like a big cat that's essentially like what is it, hairball, like trying to cough up a hairball sort of a thing.
Just kind of got her back arched and is coughing aggressively at the floor.
And you're just like, no, okay.
But yeah, if you're not immediately chasing after, we can now take a bit of a more narrative kind of go back into like, what are you all doing? How are you dealing with everything that happened? You are now missing one horse, but you do have a donkey. And the carts of the caravan are yours to use as you wish. And you also have 4 3 dead bodies and 1 knocked out minion.
Yep.
We sure do.
And we have 4 of their horses, or some number of their
However,
horses.
I believe when you knock them out, they're only knocked out for 10 minutes, so unless you tie
Yep.
her up or somehow secure her, she will be awake and may
I
or
mean,
may not
I'm
do
definitely
something.
tying her up once the fight ends. It doesn't
Yeah.
take that long.
Oh yeah, I'm just reminding you that that only lasts for 10 minutes.
Yep. But yeah,
Okay.
tying her up, and then probably looking through, Rahim at least is looking through their stuff for more evidence that like they're assassins and what else might they have been up to, and is there anything that gives clues as to like how much the family knows about us and what we've been doing, or
Okay,
if this
yeah.
was
We'll do the search thing as last because there's going to be a bit of an info dump. If there's anything people want to do before we get into what the search yields, let's just do that right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I think Johnsily is gonna silently. Is there like was there like a spring nearby that you described?
Yes, there was another step well, nearby.
Mm-hmm. Johnsily is just gonna wordlessly get up and go toward the step well.
Okay.
And assuming no one follows, she is going to wash the blood off her body. She's gonna
that's
just
fair.
take a moment to clean herself. And by the time she gets back, she's gonna just pick up a shovel and start digging graves.
Given that this is you are still sort of in the heart of Registan, it is sandy. It's somewhat quick work than
Great.
previously.
Cool. Good, because she doesn't have to struggle pathetically with a shovel. She digs graves as much as she can and then starts putting the bodies of the dead assassins in and covering their bodies with sand.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tulsi helps with like staying in cat form and just doing a
like a litter box sort of dig.
yeah.
God.
I mean, it is sand. Like,
sure. I mean, yeah, that is true. Cats are good at that. Yeah, Johnsley sort of wordlessly accepts the help, and once the graves are sort of built up, she looks for like a tree nearby, something easily fellable to create like gravestones for like unmarked graves.
There's
that,
like
like-
sort of like a sturdy desert shrub tree sort of a thing. Like it's not a very tall tree.
Okay, are there like flowers blooming on it?
No, it's kind
Okay.
of more of a it survives with I guess groundwater and a couple of things. So it's less of a flowering and more of a survival tree, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Johnsley uproots it and just sort of plants the shrub at the heads of each of the graves. And she sort of kneels by and says a quick prayer for them.
Okay, yeah.
That's what Johnsley does.
Gojin, are you doing anything in particular?
Yeah, Gojin's going through the caravan and seeing all the new things that his party now owns.
So essentially, you're joining in with Rahim in terms of kind of searching stuff. Okay.
Well,
so...
I think Rahim's investigating. Gojin's like poring over the new goodies.
Is what is it? Doing inventory, like stock of inventory, sort of a thing. Okay, so the general thing is you now have 2 carts, and 3 horses and 1 donkey. That was yours to begin with. You have 1, I guess, hostage. And 3 bodies that have now been buried. If you are not, if you haven't spoken to the hostage yet, then they're just gonna stare at you, murderously for a while. So Rahim.
Yeah.
You spent some time, I would say almost like a couple of hours, about the same time that it takes for Johnsley and Tulsi to clean up and bury the bodies, you find a couple of things. You find in various hidden compartments within the merchants, essentially, like, do not go through this area. These are my personal belongings. And it takes a little while, but you manage to find hidden compartments that have personal items. You find 4 special coins with essentially a cameo of each of you, and they seem a little magical. And I guess now that Gojin's awake, the little note I had, but it seems to almost like indicate whether someone's been killed or captured. Uh, like they seem to
Ooh.
move a little bit, and there's like a little thing of like at large or captured or killed. Little so it's just coins with like a little status and a little cameo of the person. Um, you're not quite sure how it works because these seem to be maybe guild goodies. Uh, and this guild, you believe, is through documentations and everything. You know it as the Vishkanya or the Poison Maidens. They are special, uh, I guess, for hire fixers with various abilities that, should any of you ever decide to go into the business, I will give you more information, but as an outsider, that's about as much as you can figure out. You find notes that seem to be essentially uh, instructions for what to do, which is to kill every one of you except for you, Brahim. There were special instructions to either capture unharmed, or if it you you had to be put down to bring the hand with the ring. And
Interesting.
in addition, you find a couple of instructions for basically delivery and everything. Specifically what to do once they're at Lakshmigar, which is the city in which the marriage will be taking place, to prevent any other interference from ruining this very important event. There is security that will be at all the entrances into the palace grounds and at major gates into the city. If the bounty has been successfully claimed before the festivities to bring, to essentially contact their local guild to pass on a message and to collect their bounty and deliver essentially you or the ring. Otherwise, to wait after the ceremonies for delivery and um, bounty. There's also an invitation card with details of, like, in a lot of weddings where you're given essentially multiple cards for each festivity. Like in a lot of, I guess I would say, modern, like anytime I've gotten an invitation for a big fat like Indian wedding, it's like a book with like cards to each and
Yep.
every like 10 different things. So it's a very similar, like a very ornate wedding card. And it is actually addressed to Jadui Jama, which you realize is the wizard whose auctions you went to. It must have been issued before he passed away or disappeared. And you're not quite sure why this particular merchant has this invitation card until you see notes where it seems like you probably need to decipher it. Like, you're not going to decipher it right now, but you can spend the journey. One of you can spend the journey deciphering it to maybe glean some more information. Uh,
Ooh.
in addition, uh, there is, uh, and this is actually something that uh, Gojin, you actually find a couple of interesting items that were stored in various personal belongings. You find a small whistle that, and the reason why it sticks out to you is because these seem possibly magical in nature. and you may need to spend a little bit of time to figure out what they do exactly. But you find a small whistle engraved with clasped hands. You find a very shiny ring whose surface is a perfect mirror and pristine. That you actually find on the merchant before the merchant's buried. And then you find, amongst other belongings, a small wooden box made with masterwork engravings.
Ooh. Can you open the box?
Yeah. And the box is empty, but it seems like there might be something more to it. You've seen boxes like these being used when you went for a couple of business meetings in your previous life.
Okay.
Oh, and
Can you put
there's
the
also a brooch that seems to have that's something that Rahim actually finds that has a likeness of Jadue Jama. That
That's
seems
interesting.
magical in nature.
That's interesting.
So,
Go ahead.
So, can I identify the type of magic going on with this thing, or is it just like it's magical in nature and I don't get specifics?
You can. I'm gonna say like these are just things you discover. You
Mm-hmm.
can spend time trying to decipher them, and it's more of sort of figuring out in order what you're identifying with first.
Got it. Yeah, then let's see. Is there anything anyone else would like to handle of the stuff we found before, like, we plan our next moves, or checking? Okay. In that case, I think want to talk to our prisoner, and just see what's up here. Just sit down. So, what's your actual name, if you don't mind me asking? Also, if you do mind me asking, again, you are currently tied up on a cart.
Did you gag them or did you?
No, or at least if I've gagged them, I'm taking the gag off.
Okay. So, she says, "Well, I am Nugma, so my name is Nugma. What are you gonna do with me?"
Well, I don't know if my friends have other opinions on the matter, but the plan was to find someone in the next town, find some sort of law enforcement in the next town, hand you over, and explain your many past associations and the attempt to murder us. And that would probably result in execution and some embarrassment for your organization. We can scale up and down portions of that based on, how this conversation goes, how the rest of the trip over goes, stuff like that. But I'm generally not in the habit of, like, murdering defenseless prisoners or any of that. It's kind of it goes from causing problems for the hell of it to actively malicious, and that's not really my jam.
How is it any different than turning me over for execution? You're just not getting your own hands dirty.
There is a significant difference between extrajudicial murder and turning someone over to the authorities after they try to kill you. I'm sure you understand that much, right? Like, you are in the business of extrajudicial executions. You've got to understand the difference here on social acceptability and ethical standards.
Well, we serve a communal need. They want something done, and they want it done discreetly. How's it?
Yes, and the law serves a communal need of people not wanting to be murdered arbitrarily on the streets. So you get where we're going. You get the difference here. And the precise nature of what we tell the guard can be very different depending on what sort of information you give us, what you can tell us about, say, the contract and this neat little invitation booklet we have. Or, you can keep trying to give me the runaround. We tell them everything, and people suffer because of your decisions, instead of you tell us what we want to know, we give them an abbreviated bit, you spend a few years in a cell or whatever, and then go home and people you don't particularly care about deal with the consequences of their actions.
I suppose so. But I suppose I could also do what my guild asks me to do. And she starts biting her tooth.
I think Rahim reaches a hand into her mouth, trying to keep her from biting down, and calls Junsley over to try and keep her from killing herself.
Yeah, okay. Johnsley has been watching silently this entire time, just sort of standing behind Rahim with her arms crossed, an inscrutable expression on her face. And when Rahim calls her over, she comes over. She steps forward. And is there let's see, do I have a special? Yeah, I am going to lay a hand on this girl's shoulder, and I'm gonna try to use modulate, I suppose, which is a perception move. You alter the nature and intensity of a nearby creature's physical sensations for up to 1 hour. Choose one effect each time you use the spell. I am going to choose. Oh boy, let's see. I am going to choose comfort, which basically means the creature either feels relaxed wherever they sit or lay, or they cannot find comfort however they arrange their body. And I'm going to ask our wonderful guide if I can interpret that in such a way to make it extremely uncomfortable, in such a way that it would be easier for while she's this feeling of discomfort is washing over her, maybe Rahim can exploit that and pluck the poison cyanide pill or whatever it is out of her molar while that's happening.
Yeah. So, while this is happening, what you pluck out is not what you think it is in terms of a cyanide or something. It's actually a tooth that is filled with diamond dust.
That's a really unpleasant way to go.
The tooth itself, Rahim pulls out?
Yeah, it seems like that is a false tooth.
Oh, okay.
That is a really fucked up way to kill yourself.
Diamond dust?
In terms of if I'm understanding what the mechanism is, that's you get shards of stone in your lungs and either screw up your throat or choke to death on what it does to your lungs.
Well,
or
you get the sense that it's meant to make sure that they can't dock either if anyone tries to resurrect them.
Fuck up their vocal cords and stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Johnsley takes one look at that tooth, looks down at this presumably shifting, deeply uncomfortable girl, and says, "The way you desecrate the body disgusts me."
You're worth more than this. You get that, right? That is a deeply messed up thing to do to yourself.
Not as messed up as if the guild finds out that due to me, their business becomes public business.
Well, there is a much less painful way to make sure that happens. Just putting that out there.
And what would that be?
Give us some answers about the employer, what happened to what happened to the wizard in this locket? You know, few things on the people above you who sent you to kill us, and maybe this doesn't have to go too badly for you. You know, a
Well,
lot better than choking to death on diamond dust.
but that would be the very thing that my guild would kill me on.
They don't have to know.
I think Tulsi's gonna be like, why don't you just come with us and start a new life? Like, you don't have to go back to them if they're gonna treat you like that.
But you don't understand. When you join for life. You don't just get to choose not, like, retirement is when you're done.
As far as the only coworker who's seen this knows, you're done. He does not know that I didn't kill you when I slammed your head into the ground.
You know
You can
what?
disappear and start a new life. What is something that has always intrigued you? Like, what have you always been interested in, like, in learning and doing?
Well, I don't know. I've been born into this. I've been raised into this. I mean, I did want to go see the mountains.
Oh my god, me too!
Okay. So here's our deal. You give us some information, and
I get the cart
not
and
only do
horse.
you get to see the mountains, he will make absolutely certain no one learns how we got this information.
And I get the cart and horse. There are two of them, by the way.
Sure. Well, you can get a cart and horse. You do need to go in the other direction to where we're going.
I wasn't planning on going in that direction.
All right. I think that's amenable to all of us.
And she says, I don't know much. My boss doesn't tell me everything, and that's part of our making sure if we ever get captured, we don't give too much information. But I do know that we were supposed to kill everyone except for the lizard man.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to take a ring off your finger. I feel like the ring is important. I don't understand why it's important because it looks very plain, honestly.
Yeah, that's
It's
part
not
of the
even a
trick of it,
signet
really.
ring. I thought it was like you stole some. I know it was some noble's ring we were fetching.
Do you know anything about the noble, or why your boss had the locket of this head wizard on her?
Well, I overheard her talking with and kind of looks at the grave of one of the people that I think she was planning on maybe making some more money by perhaps getting information to blackmail the noble and possibly using the wedding to do so and going as a guest, and was pretty sure this one was dead so wouldn't show up.
That's really useful. Do you know if she had the information, or
Well,
no such luck?
I felt like the brooch had something to do with it. She could disguise herself.
Ooh. Thank you. That is quite useful. Let's see. Anything the rest of you need to know or want to ask? I've got I've got what I need, more or less.
Let's just go.
All right. I'll cut her free and like give her the horse. And, Tulsi.
Wait, hold on. And she's gonna like group the crew together and be without her, like, while she's still tied up. She's trying to stop before it gets cut out. And she's like, "Are we gonna give her stuff? Like, are we gonna give her like some of the saris and stuff to like help her like sell along the way?"
Oh yeah, I guess there's also trading goods that would be very useful to perhaps purchase things. Like, it's a nebulous, if you need things in the city, you have some resources because of the merchant's goods. So I'll just put that out there. Since you brought that up, Dulcie.
Yeah. I think we should give her some stuff to like, help her with her new life. But if we hear the saris, let me dig through them real quick and grab mine.
Yeah, I don't care. Just I'm ready to go. And Johnsley is just gonna turn and stand by the donkey.
I mean, we can give her a little, but I wasn't planning on giving up like a huge amount here.
Yeah.
Just because, she did try to murder us.
But we are giving her a second chance.
Yes. But again,
okay, that's all you know. And Tulsi runs off to go grab the sari before anything else happens. Like Azra, him still talking. Tulsi's like, "Okay, cool," and just walks away. Go digging.
Yeah. So you can definitely dig out the sari you want, and also Gojin, since you were doing inventory, was there anything? As a part of this decision, do you have some input as to... you're muted.
No, he doesn't really care about this. He's actually kind of thrilled that now they can be merchants and make some money while they're going about doing their thing. Also, he's going to take the ring and just say, "Hey, Rahim, put this on."
Okay.
Do you put it on?
Yeah.
Nothing happens. You can slip it on, slide it off. You do feel that it's magical in nature somehow, but nothing apparently, like, nothing unlike the current ring you possess, where, it's pretty obvious that you're kind of, there's something magical and you're stuck with it. But it is, the thing essentially that makes it feel magical is that it is incredibly pristine, has like a mirror finish, and even when it's passed through hands that have been somewhat grubby with the grime of the road and everything, it just seems perfectly pristine.
Well, that's a lot more less malevolent than the other ring. I'll keep it until Gojin asks for it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was just kind of hoping that what the ring does might present itself. And also, because Rahim clearly doesn't have any qualms about putting on or wearing magic items that are unknown.
Yeah, so there's nothing apparent about it, but like I said, at this point, if you want to figure out what the items do, we can go into what the items do.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, so do you cut Nugma loose and let her grab horse and cart?
Yeah, I'm following through on my end of the deal.
Okay. So she thanks you and heads off in the direction you had come from, like basically going back the way she came.
All right.
And yeah. So what do you want to look into first?
I'm going to be checking out the locket personally, just because I'm pretty sure I know what that does, and it would be really useful to figure out the mechanics of it before we get into the city.
Which locket?
The magic one from the merchant that has the wizard's face on it.
Oh, that's more like a brooch.
Oh, the brooch.
Yeah, or brooch. I never quite know how to pronounce that. So yeah, as you spend time with it, you get the sense that when you focus on it and figure out how to use the command, this brooch can project an illusion, giving the person using it the appearance, the wearer, the appearance of the creature it has stored in it. There's a little more mechanic to it, where essentially, when if you use it and you um, encounter someone and have a conversation with them, the embossed visage on the brooch transforms into the face of the creature the wearer was speaking to, and it stores the likeness of each creature the wearer speaks to, but it kind of is like you have to use one to have like store a new one.
Got it. So only one person at a time, and
Yeah.
no storing up a bunch.
Yeah. So essentially, that's how they were. You get the sense they were going to use that ability to pretend to be the person whose invitation they had procured.
Yeah, well, now we have that invitation. They totally murdered the. They're probably why this dude died, aren't they? But yeah, now we have the invitation, so we'll call that a win in our book, and at least one way to get into the party.
Yeah, that is definitely one way of dealing with this. What else would you like to look into?
Anyone else want to take a turn? I've been private. Anyone else want to take a turn on looking into one of the magic items or anything, or investigating something else about our new stuff?
Go ahead, Morgan.
I was gonna say that Tulsi's like really interested in the whistle.
Yeah. So as you interact with it, and I imagine you blow it.
Mm-hmm.
I
do.
Okay, so this is interesting because the only people around you are friends.
Uh-huh.
You so who do you consider, including all the creatures that are also there, so horses and donkeys, who are your friends?
Everybody.
Okay, so here's
Even the horses.
You blow it, but no sound comes out. However, in the horses, donkeys, and your friends' heads, they hear a sharp whistle and turn in the direction of where you are.
I think it's broken, y'all.
No, that worked real well.
I didn't hear it.
But I did.
Oh.
So mechanically, it's a small magic whistle that knows who your friends are. When you blow in the whistle, only your friends nearby can hear its sound.
Oh. And they just tuck it away. They played this.
And you think that's probably what was used at some point during this day to get everybody prepared without alerting anyone else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's theirs now. They claimed it.
While Johnson sort of flinched when the whistle tone happened in her head and just glanced over at Tulsi and just sort of shook her head, is gonna check out what remains of the poisons.
Yeah, so there is a variety of poisons that I'm going to abstract as, if you want to use them, it's similar to the potions where I'm gonna say you roll a dice and you are like depending, like, there are different colors, but you may need to spend a good amount of time inventorying it. So if you want to use any of them before, it might be random what you're using.
She's actually just gonna sort of wordlessly dump them all out onto the ground.
Okay.
Except for a single vial that she slips into her pocket.
Okay.
Yeah, she's just destroying the stash of poison.
Yeah, a lot of them kind of sizzle in the sand a little bit. Not all of them, and then some of the interactions, like one interacting with another, definitely cause like sizzling reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mess, but it is all dumped and on the ground now.
Okay.
Probably don't want to step on it because you're not sure which ones were ingested or which ones were, through wound or by touch or whatever.
Yep. She steps over the puddle of toxic, medically unsafe liquids, and then walks back over to the rest of the party.
Yeah. So I believe there is the ring in the box, as well as the cipher book. Personal. You feel like it's a personal journal of some kind. So we're also gonna now perhaps move into. You're going to make your way to Lakshmi Gur, and we're not going to kind of go into detail of the road, but if there's any activities you want to do, like 1 or 2 tasks, assuming that you are able to stop at a couple of towns and get resupply or trade in the merchant goods that you have for supplies, what would you like to do before you reach the city? Or the outskirts of the city.
So looking at the coins with like our faces on it and status on them, I'd like to try and get the stuff for disguises to make everyone unrecognizable when we actually get to the city.
Yeah, you can certainly get trade for the goods and do other things, and maybe part of the discussion, depending on when we actually hit down, because we might just be ready to essentially really crash the wedding next episode, perhaps. So maybe think about what your disguises would actually be.
All right.
But you can certainly procure the disguises easily between now and then. What else would you like to do? And that is sort of collectively at the group, sort of be able to tackle 1 or 2 tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Like each.
Right.
Uh-huh.
In that case, I think using my dossier to copy the financial records at one of the towns, I'm just going to send a bunch of letters out to various nobility detailing the financial crimes and financial ruin of the Lahori family.
Oh, snap, taking them down.
Okay.
Succeed or fail, I will ruin their day.
Johnsley's gonna sort of bury herself in researching the bride side of the family.
Okay. So for the letters, depending, because you're not quite close enough to the town to ensure what time it receives, what time, it's something that you will find out at least once you get into Lakshmi Gur. It's hard to figure out from here.
Yeah.
But what is it? Better late than never. They will eventually get it, and you've definitely worked your way to making sure that someone knows something.
Yep.
Regardless of how the events at the wedding occur. Okay, so from how do you what sources, or how do you want to go about trying to research the bride's family?
I'm sorry, that was me.
Yeah, sorry, Johnson Lee.
My apologies. Is there like a library or like an archive or anything like in the city?
Well, it's hard to find on sort of like pit stop cities, but well, through library means you could certainly ask merchants, traders, like people who seem to be traders of information.
Yeah, Johnson's gonna go up to like these hubs of information, maybe these little like pop up markets or whatnot, and just ask around, poke around, be like, hey, so what have you heard about, what have you heard about this family? Anything going on with them recently? What do you think of them? She's gonna go up to like she's gonna take a moment to just sort of like listen to the pulse of the market to see like who's vending the best information, and then go up to that person and just sort of start a casual conversation.
Yeah, so the freebie information, and then there's the gamble for more information. The freebie information you get is that this is definitely a family that is wealthy. They are old money. Sorry, they are they're not old money. They're sort of like they've come into nobility and even royalty quite recently, like in a generation or two. And uh this wedding, the one thing that they point out is that the bride is a little older than is usual. There's a certain age when especially royalty and nobility marry for, continuing lines and all the usual reasons why royalty marries. And she's a little older than, like, she's more like in her mid 20s, early 30s, which is quite old for um, royalty. So people wonder why she's marrying so late.
Her family seems pretty eager to push her out to the newest eligible bachelor. I guess that would make sense. Do you have any idea why she's marrying so late? Is she particularly pernicious, odious?
And this is where there's a little more kind of gamble for information, where you can roll for it.
Great, let's go for it. Just a straight roll?
Yeah.
Great. And what's the name of this new nobility again? This family?
So the princess is called Rajkumari Amira.
Rajkumari Amira. Is the family name Amira, or is
No,
that not
that's her name.
Got it. Okay. Rajkumari Amira. Cool. So let's see. That is a 17.
17. Yeah. So there's a couple of rumors that you're not quite sure. Like it's like multiple sources, so you're not sure which is rumor, which is real. So one is, oh, she's done something to disgrace the family name, and they want to quickly bury it under the news of the wedding and make things okay. Some say that the family is not as rich as they seem, and they're essentially trying to marry to another noble house in the hopes of more money to cover up, like, essentially, from what both are marrying thinking they're getting into a marriage, but neither have money, but they're using their last bits of wealth to have the appearance of, like, this is the two wealthy families uniting and money. And then the other thing is oh, like, she's uh those are sort of the two rumors that you have. They seem to lead into that either she's done something kind of bad and they're trying to cover it up by getting her married quickly, or that they're marrying for money, which, is odd considering that they're a wealthy, they have money, they're a wealthy family.
So, what is this family known for? How do they ascend into nobility so quickly?
They say that they essentially traded in favors and information, and they were like a merchant family that was very good at leveraging favors and things like that, where I'm trying to figure out a good way of like phrasing it in terms of like uh yeah, they're it's like luxury goods and all of that stuff, but somehow also they were very good at climbing up.
Great. They're just really good at social maneuvering. Okay.
Yeah.
So why the Laharis? Is there a particular reason? Did the groom catch the princess's eye?
That we're not sure of. This wedding was very suddenly announced. And that's about as much information you can get as you go through the different hubs and everything.
Sounds good.
Uh Now, Tulsi or Gojin, is there anything you'd like to do as you're traveling and making your way?
I think that along the way, if we're passing through some markets, are there any tea merchants out there that
Yeah, there's usually a tea merchant or two.
yeah, so he would make it a point to introduce himself to the tea merchant and even offer to host a tea tasting party on the spot for them
And
and any other customers who might be interested. And he'll use that to sort of strike up conversations with people and, you know, try to listen for any news. In particular, he's probably going to listen for news um, from Pathari, but he's also going to try to scrounge for information about the upcoming wedding and some of the other guests that might be there.
yeah, so as you sort of, I was going to say tea and dine. uh you get information that uh like for the finest wedding in that the land will see, or that these families want to sort of like throw their wealth about, that the best of everything will make their appearance, and that includes the best food, the best tea, the best everything. So important families from each of these places will be guests as well as serve their finest at the wedding, including uh your family name comes up, which I actually don't have off the top of my head, um and that the current heir, um which is I believe your brother. Did you have a sibling? Yeah, so your brother and um they say, well, we're not quite sure. I think his newest fiance. It's weird. She was going to be part of the family, but then the eldest just ran off. And now they've recently decided that let's just still keep it in the family.
Oh, well, I guess if we're
And the information is very kind of like, this is from multiple sources where they're not quite sure what's happening. They just know two people are showing up.
oh,
Their
well, that
relationship
should be fun.
question mark.
Ah, he will not react to that, but now he is actually getting a little concerned that he might be found, but he can't just sort of just disappear now. He's got to go forward with it. But anyways, he's just going to start trading contact information with folks, networking, if you will. Um, he's hoping that by hosting the tea tastings, that he shows he's very intelligent and knowledgeable about tea, and you know,
Yeah, and they're like, oh, you know what? If you're really interested in trading with tea, you should really meet with these families. And um, that particular family name keeps coming up as well because they're currently the best in the business. It's like, oh, I think they'd love to have you on. You're such a good tea taster. and they would love to have someone who's that passionate.
Oh, no. I think that I would like to find a family who, um, is running into some trouble and try to help them steer the way into um, up the ladder, so to speak. Who wants to start at the top, anyways? That's just easy.
And every night you find that damn doll in your bags.
And every night he's just gonna say, "Shut up."
Just staring at you.
Every night every night he's going to turn the doll around and face in the opposite direction, even though that it's futile, and he's going to wake up finding himself watched as he sleeps.
Wakes up
Which
right
is-
in your face. Just
Yeah, and not in the kind of romantic sense, like, oh, look at her sleep so soundly. It's more like a, oh, how I wish I could murder you in your sleep.
And the doll, like, no matter, like, even if you try to, like, move it to other whatever, it just seems to be standing over your head looking down at you.
Yeah. At some point, he's just gonna, like the rest of the camp or everybody else can hear, look, it's not good. It's just not gonna work out. Okay, get over it.
That's beautiful. I love it.
It's not me. It's you.
The doll just stares at you with no
Wow.
exchange in expression. And Tulsi, are you doing anything?
Yeah, I think Tulsi's gonna write to their family like they usually do, but also start trading out some of the wares that they have just to lighten their load.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Tulsi became the merchant here, but they're learning it by doing.
Yeah, and essentially, unless you're buying supplies,
Mhm.
you're essentially trading goods for other goods that would. I mean, you can certainly convert some of them into supplies and rations that are needed.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're just trading goods for other goods. Except now, instead of luxury goods, what are you trading it for? Like, actually, you know what? What are you trading it for?
Oh no. Tulsi's gonna be like, all right, guys, do we need anything? No, okay. And honestly, I guess whenever they're like low on rations, that's when they'll actually trade things out. I think they're
Yeah.
kind of like not like trying to sell it all at once because they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what do I don't need things. But I think Tulsi will keep the sari. Oh, we need disguises. That's what we need, right?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
that's part of
That's what
the.
Tulsi. That's what Tulsi will be doing is like starting to help Rahim like trade stuff to get disguises and whatnot.
Okay. All right. So I think I'm gonna go into the descriptions of the ring and the box. So the ring, I'm gonna say as part of, uh, actually, you know what? I think it's more fun if you figure out how it works when it triggers for the first time. So the question is, who's wearing it?
Would anyone else have tried to get it, like, have asked for it or whatever from Rahim at some point?
Absolutely the hell not. From Jocelyn. Nope, no way. Saw you.
Gojin would ask once he starts hearing that family might be in the vicinity of his. Of the
Yeah,
wedding.
so Gojin, you can go ahead and have it when it reveals what it does.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll keep that in mind. And, the box. Uh, I feel like since there is some trading and stuff going on, you didn't mean to, but uh, you find out that when you are negotiating for a trade, or at this point it was maybe trading for information, the box senses an object of value that the other party desires, and then a convincing illusion of the object then appears inside the box that feels real to the touch. The illusion permanently disappears if it spends 1 minute outside of the box. So I think, and you can kind of like definitely edit this or change it. I think while you were trading for information, you thought, oh, maybe, I'll offer the box or something, or put some nice tea in it or something. And you've seen it being done when you in your previous life. And you get surprised when you open the box and in it is like a really rare like cookie or like snack that they were like, oh, this pairs well with this particular tea. And they take it out and they kind of keep it down because they're not going to eat it immediately. And then it just disappears after a bit. And they're like, oh, where did my cookie go?
Interesting.
Oh, one more thing that Tulsi's doing as they're traveling is going to all these towns is trying all the local cuisine.
Oh yeah, and there's a variety. A lot of times, it's like sturdy fare. As a lot of the towns you go to are mostly like pit stops or like trading route. Especially in Registan, where it's very simple food. It's made from local vegetables and like roots and trees and things that are very kind of hearty. And they're spiced with chilies. And they're very, they can be a little dry, but you use sort of the curry and oil to kind of soften it and eat it. And sort of spice essentially roots and root veggies and the very few things that actually grow in the desert. And then as you move towards a little more north and a little more east with you're starting to get into slightly mountainous and sort of hilly terrain and more fertile lands, then the food is a little more richer. There's also now cattle and animals and livestock, and there's now meats and like dairy and cream sauces and things like that as you approach the city. Yeah, so
Tulsi's gonna pass on the meats, but like everything else is fair game.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of sort of vegetarian equivalents where they essentially make fake meat with vegetables, where it's like making use of cheese or making use of essentially a vegetable mash that's then turned into like meatballs or kebabs and then sauced well and spiced well, and the texture is meant to emulate meat.
It did the mash?
Yeah.
The veggie mash.
Oh my god, I knew you were
Graveyard smash.
Sorry.
Speak of
No, you're not. You're not sorry. Stop that.
Not, it's true.
Speaking of the graveyard smash, Johnsely is the other thing she's doing, in addition to going to the marketplaces, is she's going to throw herself back into her work. So when they're not, together traveling, and making our way, to the wedding, Johnsely is going to check out the graveyards of everywhere they stop by, and she's going to spend a lot of time with her nose buried in her research materials, communing with the spirits.
A lot of the graveyards, there's actually not much of a graveyard in Registan. A lot of the bodies are cremated, so there's like a cremation area that does have a lot of spirits, you're also traveling with quite a few of them in
Yeah,
one
that's true.
person.
Yeah, that is true.
um,
But she's really reluctant to try to talk to the spirits that are traveling because they're inside Rahim, and she doesn't want to do that. But yeah, So I think she's been spending a lot of time around the cremation areas.
yeah, and there's definitely quite a few spirits. Is there any particular sort of thing you are looking to? Because when you go to, for example, one of the um, cremation places, there's like maybe one or two spirits that are floating around, and they usually. It tends to be that any spirit that is still of this world has unfinished business of some kind. Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, well, specifically ghosts, because
Mm-hmm.
as the spirits had clearly said, we're not ghosts, silly, we're spirits.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
Actually, it's basically conducting an ethnographic survey of the spirits, asking them. So, what if you had a second chance at life? What if you were able to get a body? Wasn't your own from your previous life, but a body nonetheless. What would you do with that opportunity?
so one says, I would go to my I would go to the person I loved and not the one I married, and I would run off with them. Another one says, uh, well, I'd go tell my mother I'm done with her. And there's like a variety of weird and uh um various thing. Another one was like, well, I'd probably want to be a bird instead so I could fly.
Uh-huh. John Sully sort of listens to this for the first leg of the trip without asking any follow-up questions, just sort of collecting their stories in her book. But as she goes on, she feels frustrated. And she begins pushing the spirits a little and asking, okay, you find your mother, you tell her to screw off, you run off with the love of your life, you're a bird. Now what? Now what?
I don't know, I'd fly and then I can poop on people I don't like.
Can Gojin just be sitting there on like the fence or something like that, drinking tea and watching all of this go down?
I don't have a problem with that. John Slee's trying to be somewhat private about it, but it's entirely likely she gets really involved and doesn't notice you there. But other than that, I don't have a problem with it personally. John Slee is you can see that she's clearly very like frustrated and irritated with these like it's not the answers she's looking for, but the answers she's getting. And she just goes, okay, well, is there anyone here that doesn't want to be a bird and just wants to be a person? A second chance? I know you all have unfinished business. What happens when your business finishes? Do you just want to die again? What do you do with your second chance?
I didn't think about that. I mean, I guess I'd be dead and I guess I'd be going back to the earth. I don't know. It's been a while since I had to think about all these spiritual religious things. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as I recall, it's you go back to the earth and you get reborn, I guess.
yeah. I mean, that's what all the elders say. All the leaders. I I don't know. I thank you for your help. And John Slee is gonna scribble in her notebook like get up and turn away from the crematorium. And as she
Although,
turns, go ahead.
although, if I find my soulmate, I guess, I can find them again for 7 more times, and I hope that I find them again and get married to them. So then, it kind of renews at 7 times, and then it's like forever and ever and ever.
I see. So always pursuing your happily ever after.
Isn't that what everybody wants?
No, you're right. That is what everybody wants. Thank you for talking with me.
Okay. So are you giving me a body or not?
No, I hope you find peace. And then Johnson Lee basically like a long job interview. It's like, we're not gonna hire you.
Like, wait, so you just asked me these things and you're not gonna get me a body?
Johnson Lee turns and startles a little bit when she sees Gojin on the fence. Were you listening to that? You know what? It doesn't matter. I don't care. Is there liquor in that?
No, it's tea.
Oh. I like to put a little whiskey in my tea.
Well, I mean, there's no accounting for bad days.
You know what? I'll let you have that one, Gojin. I'll let you have it. And Johnson Lee sort of leans on the fence, takes out her flask, and swigs it, sort of looking at the smoke rising from the crematorium. I know. Put in that counter in the Twitch chat. I get it. I know what you're doing. You bastards.
He saw from her eyes pointing down.
I saw all of you immediately look down at your keyboards.
How dare you assume it was me? Oh, I didn't put the plus sign. That's what happened.
And Johnson Lee,
only 8?
I know missed some.
We definitely missed a lot. Johnson Lee looks silently out of the crematorium for a little bit, and then without looking at Gojin, sort of asks, "You have unfinished business, Gojin? Like, if you died right now, do you think you'd become a spirit, or do you think you'd pass on?"
I'd definitely become a spirit.
I had a feeling you'd say that. Why?
I just have something to prove. If I don't get there, then, well, it's gonna be very difficult to shake the stench of failure.
I think I know where you're coming from. Does what you're trying to prove have anything to do with that conversation you had with those tea people a couple stops back? I wasn't really listening, but I saw.
Well, I would like to be a very successful tea merchant.
So, if all you want to be is a tea merchant, where'd you learn to kill like that?
Well, everybody's got to have a backup plan.
Huh. Johnson Lee takes another swig of her flask. Sort of nods. Says, so, let's say 1, 5, 10 years down the line, you've got your own line of teas, Gojin's miraculous teas, whatever. You're successful. Everyone knows you as the best tea farmer in the entire realm. Then what?
I don't know. I always figured that I would worry about that when I got there. Maybe I would start a second business.
Huh. Gojin's assassination firm?
I mean, sure. Why not?
I kind of envy you, Gojin. I am perpetually dissatisfied with where I am. I can't just focus on the journey. I'm always thinking about the destination. And if I'm not there, I don't feel happy.
Well, what is it that you want to do?
I'm afraid my goal is a lot more impossible than becoming a successful tea farmer.
You want to raise a legion of undead to take over a province and possibly the continent?
That's quite a picture. Actually, quite the opposite. Death. Final frontier. That's what they say. I always had a feeling that it's something that could be solved. I mean, that hyena, that's not true undeath. It's a mockery of life, what I did. I'm trying to solve the problem of death, Gojin. If I can do that, there would be no need, really, for my field. People die, I could just bring them back. There'd be no more suffering, no more pain. If people wanted to pass on, sure, but no one would have any unfinished business anymore. Everyone would be happy. Don't you think?
No, I just never really thought that was the cycle of things.
Yeah, that's what other people say too. That it would be unnatural. That it would violate the laws of magic, the laws of this world. I know, it's ridiculous. I
I mean,
can't.
don't you find any sort of satisfaction in easing other people's pain?
I do, Gojin. I do. But it's like this. I can alleviate pain. It's something I've learned to do over the course of my career. But I can't completely take it away, especially if it's chronic. I can just offer temporary satisfaction. And in a weird way, that's kind of what I feel too when I help people. Just temporary satisfaction. There was these sextuplets at my practice clinic all the way back in Rekistan. They'd come in all the time. One of them would have botulism, the other one would be throwing up for no reason, the third one would have some sort of tumor, the fourth, I don't even want to get into it, but they'd come in every week with a different illness. Every time I helped them, they'd come in again with another problem. What's the point of helping people if there's always suffering, more suffering than what I can cure? I don't know. Maybe I'm asking the wrong questions.
What would you do if there wasn't any suffering, though?
What do you mean?
Well, you asked me what I would do if I built a successful tea empire. I said I would probably start a second business in the business of ending people's lives. What would you do if you solved death?
Well, I guess I'd go home. And I would have a drink. Probably two. Probably more. And then I guess I'd start living. We should probably get back. Tulsi and Rahim are probably wondering where we are.
Yeah. Boy, that was a real downer, he says as he mutters into his teacup.
What was that? Did you say
Oh,
something?
nothing.
Okay.
No.
Thanks for the conversation. Chudsley's gonna peel off on that.
Yeah. And unless there's something people want to do real quickly, I think we're gonna end there.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So we didn't quite get to crashing the wedding, but I feel like that's definitely something that's gonna be happening in our next episode, which will also be our last episode for the year and this particular season. It doesn't mean Kahaaniyaan is ending. It just means we're gonna be taking a break for basically all of December and returning in January, and we'll get into that as we get closer to that date. Yeah. Let's go around the table once more, and we'll do it the other way around. So, I believe we'll start with Connie. You're muted.
I'm so sorry. I unmuted the wrong channel. Okay. Hi everybody. Bye everybody. I mean, my name's Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. I played the doctor, John Sleetaki. Pronouns are she, her, they, them. I think maybe it doesn't really matter that much to me. You can find me on Twitter at @byConnieChong. I also run Transplanar RPG as the GM and executive producer, which is an all-transgender, person of color-led, 100% homebrew, tabletop, actual play live-streamed campaign set in an original, non-colonial, anti-Orientalist world. We stream on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Central, on Twitch at Transplanar RPG, also on Twitter at Transplanar RPG. You can give us a follow if that seems interesting to you. And we have a recap document easily available, so you can jump right into whatever the latest episode is. In my free time, quote unquote free time, I am also a GM for Magpie Games' curated play program alongside Mariam, where I specialize in running masks games. So if you want to play a teenage superhero, check out Magpie Games' curated play program and sign up. It's pretty cheap you get a great deal for your buck. Lots of fun games, talented GMs, and yeah, you should check that out. And I'm gonna pass it along to the next person.
Anino.
How's it going, everyone? My name's Nino. You can find me on Twitter at Nino Gaming. Let's see. Friday is another episode of Cyberpunk Red, 8 p.m. on the Wandering DM channel. And then Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be appearing on the Level Up Dice channel for the Scion campaign, also with the Wandering DM. And then Saturday night is another episode of The Regiment, a period RPG set during the Peninsular War, in which we play a bunch of drama queens in a British cavalry unit.
Nice. Morgan.
Okay, found the mute button. All right, hey, I'm Morgan. I play Tulsi, the dirt goblin child that y'all all love and enjoy and cherish deeply. You can find me on all the socials at Serena Bezos. I am actually in quite a few things upcoming this week. You can find me on Friday at Lord Neptune's channel, where we will be doing episode 1, not our session zeros anymore, of A Tale of Twinkle and All, which is a chimera game design where we have a mix of fantasy, magical girl, and superhero tropes sort of mixed together. You can find me Sunday in 2 locations. The first is at 4 p.m. Central. It's a Warren Petal Grove where I get to play a bun. And we're on an adventure. We get to play buns. I play Honeysuckle, who's a scrappy little thing, and apparently died and turned into a ghost last game, but didn't really. But like, you can catch up if you want to. The episodes are like an hour and a half long. It's good. We have good players, trust me. Then we have the finale for Apocalypse Keys happening at 8 p.m. Central on the Actual Play Network with Sean Nittner, Jamie, and Jen Martin. Follow me on Twitter. It's easier there. I can share that with you. Thank you.
And last but not least, Bashir.
Hey, I'm Bashir. I played Rahim today. You can find me at Twitter at Bashir Gauss. Last name is Ghouse. You can find my games at havocfet.itch.io, or you can find my freelance work with many tabletop gaming companies. I am in the Spire Shadow Operations book. I have a couple of monsters in the... I don't think that's released yet. I have some articles in the Warlock Grimoire 2 from Kobold Press, and quite a few other products coming out over the next few years. Or I am in several other products over the next year or so from other companies, some of which I can't talk about yet. Yeah, check those out.
Wonderful. And I have been your guide for this game. Mariam, you can find me on Twitter at media_junkie. You can find me lurking around here on Huetopia. And tomorrow I will actually be taking part and facilitating a game of Stupot for Game Roulette. You can check out Huetopia's Twitter, which is at Huetopia TV. For more details, but it'll be a 3-hour game from 9 o'clock till midnight Eastern Time. In addition, I am the GM for the Musafirs and a cast member of Prism Pals. And yeah, there's quite a few things I'm doing at the moment, and it's probably best to just check me out on Twitter. And with that, if you can stick around for a little bit longer, we will be raiding someone. I think we will be raiding Kupo, because it's been a while since we've raided Kupo Knight. I believe they are playing Genshin Impact, which is a game I haven't played in a while, and I really do want to play it uh, again pretty soon. Anyhow, stick around and tune in tomorrow for Game Roulette. And we will see you all in 2 weeks for this particular game. And we're just gonna wave awkwardly while I put us over to the transition screen. And thank you all for tuning, and see you later.